All right, welcome guys to the review of the second ODI between India and Australia, and yeah, it was a fairly damn squid, so to say. The second innings in particular, at least Nikhil and I, and even Gurkirat for that matter, all three of us expected a lot more in the second innings. But the only thing that we saw more was the turn available for spinners there. That was ridiculous, and it almost felt unfair to the Australians. कि भाई ये क्या हो गया? First innings में ऐसा, second innings में ऐसा, एकदम out of syllabus वाला scene था. In fact, it was so out of syllabus कि गुरकीरत पाजी busy हो गए. He unfortunately thought कि चलेगा match तो लंबा चलेगा हम आ जाएंगे. And yeah, he didn't expect Ashwin to do the things that he did. And we of course have Nikhil Popat. This is Akshay Kumar Swami myself. So Nikhil bhai, let's start with you. अगर आपको summarize करना है तो अब क्या लगता है? How was the second innings? What did you make of it?
Well, Australia was spun away, to be very, very honest. And again, you all, जब आपको लगे कि Ashwin is done with Australia, he comes up with a way to say कि अभी बाकी है, अभी हम जिंदा हैं, there is still a lot to do. I think it's tied with Anil Kumble to have most wickets against Australia in international cricket. It just tells you what a great bowler is in, and also the way he bowled to Manas, the way he bowled to Warner. I mean, Warner was playing right-handed, but got out to a shot which was of a left-hander batter, and then he had actually hit it onto his pad, but didn't review. So one of the perks I felt he was looking good enough after those first two random wickets. Both I think Matt Short and Steve Smith just threw their hands at a wide ball from Prasid, and they found the fielder because had they been set, and the way India eventually bowled to the end, this
True.
could have gotten needlessly close.
Exactly, and I mean, say no more. Like I said off there, Hazelwood के वो दो छक्के भाई, मतलब ऐसे दिमाग में छप गए. For a number 10 to hit two such clean sixes, almost ऐसा लगा कि मतलब it was a slap. And yeah, there's a stat for you guys. Most wickets
Yeah.
for India against an opposition across formats. Ravi Chandran Ashwin, of course, has gone past Anil Kumble by taking 144 wickets against Australia, and Anil Kumble ranked second with 142 wickets. And yeah, so let's take some comments before we sort of, get into the nitty gritties of the game and what we like and what to look forward to in the next game. A lot of comments about India's fielding today. I actually saw a comment. Yeah, Pranav Mohanlal. He goes on to say, what do you make of India's fielding heading into the World Cup? So, Nikhil bhai, क्या बोलेंगे आप? Especially Shardul Thakur in particular. Not the greatest day in the field today. What did you make of that?
Yeah, I think it's been there for a while. Not just Shardul. I think we've dropped a lot of sitters, and that's not a good place to be in. Again, we discussed this in the preview और पहले भी हमने बात करी है कि आप चांस बना के छोड़ दो, it's a different thing. But you've created a chance and then you were not able to hold on to it, it's different. But dropping simple, straightforward catches is something that India will hope कि ये ना हो, and it isn't stopping. So they'll have to find a way that what is it that is leading to this. I'm sure there is a process that they follow. वहाँ पे कुछ तो ऐसा हो रहा है that they are missing, which is why you see a lot of catches being dropped. So I don't think India will be able to afford dropping catches as regularly as they have in the World Cup, because then the pressure and the intensity is going to be far, far, far different from what it is in these two games. The Cameron Green run out is just sums up Australia in the first two games. No, just not switched on.
Exactly, and the fact that he's been run out in both the ODIs now, it's just ridiculous. And today, Green probably thought that he could redeem himself with the bat after the kind of outing he had with the ball, only to be run out in such a bizarre fashion. Where again, like Sunil Gavaskar, day in India out, keep saying, "Bhai, drag karo bat ko, drag karo bat." सुनेंगे नहीं तो और क्या होगा? For someone who keeps talking about the Aussie way of fielding, it was funny, it was ironic to see an Aussie get out that way. But
Yeah.
yeah, let's. प्रणव आनंद मीनवाइल says आज लोग तीन स्पेशलिस्ट पेसर्स वाली ट्रेन से उतरकर आज स्काई एंड प्ले विद फोर बॉलर्स प्लस हार्दिक वाली ट्रेन पर चले गए निखिल भाई क्या लगता है
Yeah. Indian cricket. All of us, we are always on a bridge, and we just see के कौन से प्लेटफॉर्म पे ट्रेन पहले आ रही. तो आज आज तीन स्पेशलिस्ट वाली ट्रेन पकड़नी है तो वो पकड़ो, आपको बैटिंग डेप्थ वाली ट्रेन पकड़नी है तो वो पकड़ो, और कुछ नहीं तो अरे खाली आईपीएल खेल रहे हो, ये नहीं खेल रहे हो, वो नहीं खेल रहे हो. You have the platform is you have a lot of platforms, and there are a lot of trains that people get on and get off with. The good thing for India in that sense is they are building a stronger backup, so to say. कि if Ashwin is taking so many wickets, it's always good to have people ready because, like we discussed in the mid innings as well, that there will be a few niggles. It's unlikely that you will go a World Cup without having any change in your squad because it's just the nature. It's just the nature of the game, and the intensity will be high. There is a lot of traveling, so you will want. It is a better place to be in rather than having people who are not fit or not game ready. So in that sense, runs for Sky are very handy. Wickets for Ashwin are very handy. So there is one thing though that I feel we can discuss maybe closer to the World Cup is how do you adapt to such changing nature of the wicket? Because if you are chasing 400 and you expected the indoor pitch to spin a bit because that's been the history, but if it does that much, it is going to be impossible to chase at certain venues if it slows down or goes dry so early. So that's something that I'm very keen to see कि कितना conditions change होता है because यहाँ पे you can't do anything about it. All of us felt के batting second, हाँ, you prefer because you're able to plan. 400 would have always have been difficult, but yeah, once you saw the ball spin that much, I don't think there was any chance then.
Me. Yeah, fair actually. Like I said before, really felt sorry for the Aussies, man. Come on, like
Yeah.
क्या बोले अभी बेचारे going into the dugout they might have thought flat surface है अपने पास 10 बैटर है देख लेंगे कुछ ना कुछ तो हो ही जाएगा and only to see the ball turn square and then you see Ashwin coming in and bowling the kind of spell he did. That first over that he bowled, man, oh, the way he looped the ball, floated the ball, was beautiful to watch. And like you mentioned, it was also very interesting to see David Warner turn, right-handed, show his ambidextrous self, and it was incredible the way he got out. I mean, right, left से right होके फिर switch hit मारते हुए inside edge लग के फिर भी out हो गए. बताओ यार, like I don't think it could have been more comical. Let's take a few more. Sorry, beg your pardon for that. Let's take a few more
Yeah.
comments. A lot of jibes being taken right now. Praveen Shavas says, Ashwin in for Akshar announcement might happen soon. Your thoughts? क्या लगता है अभी अक्षर का इंजरी बहुत ज्यादा हो गया है? He had to be airlifted to Singapore for some surgery.
नहीं
What are the
नहीं
kind of stories you're expecting?
नहीं none. I think he stays where he is in terms of picking order. Axar if it definitely starts. So I think that is something that should definitely be the order, and I don't see that changing. So let's see how it goes. Abhi tak I'm not expecting any change.
Fair. Agrim Jain, meanwhile, has an interesting question for us. He says, what do you make of Ishan keeping in this match with Kale on the field? Considering that Kale is their first choice wicket keeper and he'll most likely be keeping in the World Cup as well. That was actually interesting to watch today. What did you make of that?
Yeah, see, it is something that I think we discussed in the past that if both of them are playing, then you would not mind switching there. That okay, you're giving him some game time with the gloves, but I just think it was something to do with today. Uh, uh, I'm not sure of the exact reason why they switched to Kishan. In that sense, so they were happy to experiment, or still have been happy to experiment with the way they've set up the side and the options that they've played with. So KL, as I said in the past, KL remains your first option, Kishan second. Fair point, Bola, I think, because you are on mute. So that's what I left
Hey.
right.
अरे अब तो सब हर चीज में नंबर वन हो. I was just saying, fair point. KL definitely is our number one option, and Ishan is our number two. So no two questions about it. So going on, I mean, I'll just take a few more questions here because again, a lot of interesting questions. In fact, Hard Earth is best says, I don't think Australia cares
Yep,
about this ODI series. To be honest, I don't think even India
100%.
cares. It's not like they're
No,
playing for a win
India,
here.
uh, I think India still care with the kind of boxes that are to be ticked, but I think Australia really, I don't know. You wouldn't want to say something like that they're just here to fill up the numbers, but I think they've also had a few things that they want to try, and they've just left it very open in that sense. Okay, it's okay, whatever happens in this one, we'll see how it goes. So definitely, both teams have been experimenting, but Australia just have, as I felt, they just haven't looked as switched on as India at times.
True, and probably this has also led to a good problem of plenty for India. And Chris has phrased it really well. With the number of Indian players being thrown into the ring, it's going to be a crowded Royal Rumble. That's how he's put it, and yeah, couldn't agree more with that. Not sure the selectors wanted this problem, but don't you think they'd rather have this problem than having to worry about, अरे ये भी form में नहीं है, वो भी form में नहीं है, ये भी
Exactly.
unfit है.
Exactly,
So
because
yeah,
see, the moment you have a couple of injuries, everybody, every single person is going to jump on the train and say, "Why did you not prepare backups? Why,
yeah.
if you had so much time, 100 games, 150 games across formats, you couldn't prepare backups for everything." So I don't think that's a place to go. And again, the the crowd or the confusion seems to be on the outside, not inside.
True,
The
true.
team management has been very clear about their preferred options in middle order. They've been very clear about the combination that they are going with. But from the outside, we are having changes, people suggesting changes every game. Today, everybody wants Sky at 6, and we need to stop that. We can't just decide World Cup 11s basis 1 or 2 games. We have to respect your own process and your own journey getting to this stage. So I think, as I said, it's better to have people ready and in form as opposed to just not having anybody ready or people looking out of touch.
Definitely, and everyone has opinions. We'll find opinions dime a dozen online. In
Yeah,
fact, a
yeah.
certain reputed journalist of a certain reputed channel went on to say online, Sky at number 5. I mean, Pandya at number 5 and Sky at number 6 is that the template for the World Cup? Have they cracked the code? Is how he put it. I won't take any names here.
Possible.
And this coming from people who are supposed to be journalists, तो फिर भाई हम जैसे normal fans तो क्या ही बोले फिर. So it's definitely not easy. And I myself, like, I've also been guilty of it during the West Indies series. It really seemed like the Indian team wasn't sure of who are they going to play for the World Cup, who's being given chances, why is this guy there, why isn't that guy here, and all of that. But I have to admit, they seem to be a lot more clear. There seems to be a lot more clarity, a lot more consistency in how they're going about it right now. And it's great to see as an Indian cricket fan, as much as Nikhil
Yeah.
Bhai and others
The
don't think
a
I am.
couple this is still a good cover up, but I feel the couple of press conferences also helped because they just
True.
told you, they let into the thoughts that okay, this is what is possibly being thought, and hence these decisions are being taken. So I still think there are a couple of calls that I think they could have definitely avoided. That is taking Tilak to the Asia Cup and even having him here, because it's not solving any purpose for that matter. But I mean, okay, we are not living in an ideal world, so let's not expect one.
Fair. All right. If Nikhil bhai is saying that, तो हम क्या बोले, हम आपसे छूटे हैं, आपको पता है.
अरे नहीं नहीं
Vikram
ऐसा नहीं.
Mohanty, he meanwhile says, don't feel sorry for the Aussies, huh? They know how to
Of
get back in
course,
the World Cup. No one, I don't think
of
anyone's
course.
sympathizing. I
Ulta,
did say some.
everybody knows how low in, because it's very visible in terms of how low intense or uh, you don't see this kind of vibes coming from Australia. You don't see
True.
them making mistakes like this or having phases of play like that. So very keen to see, and I'm sure they will be far more intense and ready come the first game that India play versus them.
Definitely. And also, the reason why I did sympathize with them earlier was because you have to admit that, they got the rough end of the stick there. Matlab, bowling karte time, Rawalpindi surface, just like Pranav Anand said. Batting karte time, Indore ka test day 4 pitch. So that
Exactly,
becomes
because
a bit
see,
more difficult.
had this been reversed, had Australia batted first, and even if they had gotten to say a 350 score or a whatever score they get to, India would have found it difficult to chase on this deck, even with the best
Exactly.
possible. The thing that I think Australia will probably feel a bit aggrieved by is this is still pretty much a similar batting lineup as compared to the bowling lineup. You feel that there will be a lot more bowling enforcements coming in, but not so much in the batting department because a lot of these guys will play the World Cup games. So very keen to see how they go there. Uh, Manas has had 150 and one middling score. So I don't know if they'll read too much into it and feel that like we have today, कि भाई last game में century मारा तो should definitely start in this game. So I think he'll probably go back to where he was in that pecking order, and then let's see.
All right. Sanjay Bharti, meanwhile, says, do you think India play Ashwin against Australia and England to tackle the middle overs against left-handers? Kuldeep and Ashwin bowling back-to-back in the middle overs. Maybe that's how they're trying to tackle the left-hander, sort of left-hander packed Australian or England middle order. But is that the case though? I'm trying to think. England का कौन है? Malan है, Stokes है. They're the two left-handers in the middle order. मोइन अली को गिनोगे तो ठीक है.
Molan, Stokes, Moeen Ali, Sam Curran. Again, assuming Sam
हाँ,
Curran plays.
yeah, fair.
So there are enough batters there, and if they're playing in Lucknow and the pitch is something that's holding, then I don't think it'll be a bad ploy. But you'll hope Axar is fit, because again,
Yeah.
my point with Axar is you have to take a call here whether what are you going to value a lot more in terms of, is there a, again, I'm not saying to drop Jadeja, but I don't think there is a way to fit more all rounders, more spin bowling all rounders as compared to pace bowling all rounders. So there is no place to do that. So I think Ashwin, if Axar is fit, there is no play, there is no way Ashwin starts. There's no way Ashwin gets into the 15th in the first place. So if Axar plays, then I'm very keen to see how they use uh, Jadeja and him versus England, because even today Jadeja got wickets, but Hazelwood still was able to hit him. So again, I don't know why I'm just sticking to that bit, but I just feel India need to attack a bit more with their left arm spinners as opposed to just looking at them as defensive options.
Fair. And I do agree. I mean, it's going to be hard to accommodate both Akshar and
Yeah.
Jadeja in this lineup. It'll just become too one-dimensional in some sense. Their bowling becomes a bit too one-dimensional for their liking. Nani Corfo, meanwhile, says, "Congratulations, Sean Abbott on $1 million IPL contract." कहाँ चल रहा है निखिल भाई? कौन सी टीम में?
मैं नाम ले लूंगा, एक टीम सामने एक फैन बैठा है जो आई नो हु कुड,
भाई उनके पास पैसे नहीं है, आरसीबी तो नहीं ले रहा, ये तो मैं लिख के देता हूँ, पैसे ही नहीं है ना।
नहीं होते तो ले लेते 100%, होते तो
वो
डेफिनेटली
अलग
ले
बात
लेते।
है, पैसे किनके पास है? सनराइजर्स और पंजाब। सनराइजर्स ने खुद छोड़ा इसे, लास्ट ईयर इनके साथ ही था।
That's okay. Sunrisers give and take is part and parcel of their life. It's okay.
They're used to this now.
Yeah.
केन विलियमसन के साथ अगर कर सकते हैं तो शॉन एबट किसकी इतनी मूल्य? That's how they
I mean,
probably
if they can not take care of Rashid Khan, there's nothing left to discuss.
100%. Naman Jain, meanwhile, asks us, there's a huge parity between Indian fielding and the fielding of the likes of Australia, New Zealand, South Africa. Well, technically not asks us, he stated it. But do you agree with that, Nikhil? Like, is this series a good enough reflection of India's fielding in general, or would you just consider this an aberration?
No, I wouldn't say it's an aberration because it's been happening for a while. We've been talking about India's catching efficiency being the worst among the sides that are possibly going to play the World Cup, and it's not a fair reflection. It's not a fair reflection of the potential that the side has. And again, to say the least, it's a controllable. So there isn't something that it's luck is not with you, or there are things that you are not able to control. India is dropping a lot of sitters and a lot of simple chances, and that there is no excuse for that in today's day and age. So I think the ground fielding is still okay, but catching definitely needs a lot more improvement.
But the Gaikwad catch in particular, like the replays and all, show that it came
Yeah.
right in the light. So again, I don't think it was something he could have done much about. It came very last moment, and great visuals, by the way. Never seen
Yeah, I'm
them
very
showing
happy
something
actually.
like this. Yeah,
Actually, it was very good and very, very good of them to show the angle, because again, very often we say that, but aren't you practicing this? But when you see it live, you then have a benefit of doubt to give to the person that okay, maybe this is possible. But I still think if that's a World Cup winning catch, I don't think a light should be the factor for you to not take it. So you'll have to take care of it, because in India you see this problem at a lot of venues. Even in Mohali, or there are a few other venues where the floodlights are slightly lower.
Hyderabad is
Hyderabad.
one.
So you see them, the floodlights are lower, so the angle has to be taken care of, and it's a crucial spot. It's not a spot where the ball is not going to come to
Yeah.
you. Long on pe ball nahi aayega to kidhar hai?
That's also true. But also sort of goes on to show how difficult it is, especially when you're blinded by the ball.
Yeah.
Light be white hai, ball be white hai. It isn't as easy as it sounds. So yeah, let's cut them some slack for sure. And Pranav Anand, wow, that's some jive. He says, now that the series is sealed, India can probably experiment in the third ODI and get chances to row with Kohli in the 11. Coming back with those witty one-liners. Couldn't agree more. But देखते हैं भाई, रोहित कोहली को चांस देना है कि नहीं, पता नहीं अभी. क्या लगता है निखिल भाई, मिलेगा चांस?
No, 100%. I think it's straightforward. I think they'll want to play their World Cup 11. That's how the squad is shaped up as well. So I don't see a reason for them not to do it.
All right. Sanjay Papayagiri, he just can't stop talking about my RCB fandom. He says, trust RCB to release one of Hasranga, Hazelwood to get an Abbott Axar. I agree with the former. They'll definitely release, I'm hoping, Hasranga, not Hazelwood. But I don't think they'll get Abbott. यार मतलब इतना है एंडी फ्लावर के
Like
पास भी दिमाग है
that,
क्यों
it doesn't matter. Andy Flower has a lot of things on his resume, but he still ended up at LCGA doing nothing. So
भाई दो प्लेऑफ्स में फिर भी लेके गया ना इवन विद नथिंग द फैक्ट दैट स्क्वाड
the
कंस्ट्रक्शन में उसने
thing is, see, this is where again we will never know. Firstly, okay, who is the one who's taking the call there? So it'll not probably just be Andy's call. But I think they did so well at the auction that you expected a playoff for sure, because they had the squad depth to be able to take them to the playoffs. But again, more than them getting to the playoffs, it's the kind of mistakes that you don't see from sides who have people like him in the setup, in terms of their switches at three, or their, again, they have also had their trust with a lot of Indian batters batting up and down the order. So नहीं जाते वहां
That's
पे,
true.
नहीं जाते.
Yeah, we'll talk about IPL some other time for sure, as much as we'd love to talk about it. But guys, 35 of you are watching this 9 likes.
Yeah,
Please make sure you're hitting the like button. Make sure you've also
please.
subscribed to our channel if you haven't. And please keep your comments coming and please ask us more questions. We'll be taking as many as possible. Abhas bhai bolte hain, Akshay bhai सर्दी हुई है क्या आपको? Thank you. I just wanted to थोड़ा अपने को भी ऐसा validation मिले. Thank you so much. हुई है, but it's fine. The show must go on, and to be honest, I'd rather do it this way than just stay by myself and sit. बात कर लो तो शायद और बेटर लगेगा. This is probably
Yeah,
this is the दवा I need.
yep,
संजय एक वो आईपीएल का भी क्लोज कर ही देते हैं. He says RCB let go of Hessen who took them to 3 playoffs in 4 years, so anything can happen. Fair, agreed. I mean, I still am not too proud of what RCB did there. But क्या करे भाई मतलब फिर भी hoping against hope. Optimism is all we have, so I just have to do that. Let
fair
us
point.
see. आईपीएल के बारे में ज्यादा बात नहीं करेंगे बोल के फिर भी बोलने का मन तो करता है. Darshan Senthil meanwhile asks, if Ashwin makes the World Cup squad, does it mean we can drop Shardul? Oh, why? Why would you drop Shardul though? Nikhil bhai, what do you think?
No, I think it won't be fair. I mean, the guy's taken most wickets for you in the last, since the last World Cup. It'll just set a horrible precedent that and again, he had decent run till now. He's had one bad game, and that bad game also he had those Warner catch, which again was a sitter. वो भी ले लेते तो it would have still been different. It doesn't mean that will take his place for granted. And the thing about batting depth, we saw what Hazelwood and Sean about did today. You'll want people to be able to have some of the ability to be able to do something like that on their best given day. So I don't think if you can possibly drop him out of the 11 if you want to play a particular combination on a particular day. But I don't see them dropping Shardul, and I hope they don't, because he's been doing well. So again, if that is such a big call at such a base at this stage, on basis of 2 games for both Ashwin and Shardul, I don't think it'll be fair.
All right. M. Rajesh meanwhile asks us, what's your bowling attack for the third and final ODI? ODI? ODI. लगता है वास्तव का थोड़ा कुछ ज्यादा influence हो गया है. क्या लगता है निखिल भाई? Who do you think comes in? Of course, Prasid would most likely go out. Shami could also potentially go out. Bumrah and Siraj, both of them, you would imagine, would be that first 11 pacers. What other
Yeah.
changes do you see?
Yeah, I think that is something that I'm definitely looking forward to, in terms of, as we said, uh, playing their best possible squad. So, and again, because Bumrah did not play this one, expecting him to play the next, and they can definitely play Siraj there. So I think, as you said, it could potentially be the lineup 1 to 11 that we are likely to see in the first game of the World Cup. Now, I'm keen to see if in Rajkot, if they expect the ball to turn again, and if they want to play the lineup that will play in Chennai, so then you want to play Ashwin another game. So that is the only query that I have, because otherwise I feel it should be the 11 that you want to start with the warm-ups also.
Fair. I mean, Wednesday को third and final ODI होगा, which is on the 27th. But उससे पहले, tomorrow we have an even more important final that's coming up. Guys, just the huge, I mean, just a big reminder. Kal 11:30 baje, India take on Sri Lanka. I mean, the Indian women's team takes on the Sri Lankan women's team at the Asian Games final for a gold medal. We will be doing a watch along for that. It's a 20 over game. Of course, it is a historic moment for us. India, I mean, Indian cricket could potentially win its first gold medal, and what better occasion to do a watch along for than that. So please stay tuned and do watch. I mean, you watch this space, Bapre. I'm at a serious loss for words here. Yeah, but please do check the space out tomorrow, sharp 11:30. We'll be doing the watch along just like the old days, just like how we did it for the IPL and all the India T20 eyes. I mean, India had a fantastic win today against Bangladesh. Sri Lanka had a fantastic win today against Pakistan. We'll be talking about a lot more than just that tomorrow. So please join us there, and we'll have loads of fun. Coming back to again Wednesday's game, Neeraj Pola has an interesting question for us. He says, "What is the ideal 11 of India on flat wickets, spin-friendly surfaces, and pace-friendly surfaces?" Lot of changes, would you say, or it's more or less fixed with just a few horses for
Yeah.
courses tweaks here and there?
In my opinion, I think it's just one spot, something that we've discussed in the past as well, because Rohit, Gill, Virat, Shreyas, KL, Hardik, Jadeja, Siraj, Bumrah. That's eight of them. And I don't see them. That's not it. That's probably nine of them. So I don't see them going anywhere. In terms of they are the ones who are going to play every game. Now, uh, the rest spot is where we've been talking a lot about. Whether you want the Shardul be the fourth pacer with Hardik being the third. So where you feel there is uneven bounce and you feel that okay, this is the kind of wickets where we are happy to have that depth. So you can go with a bowling all rounder in Shardul. If you feel ke spin wicket hai, so like we have discussed in the past, you'll probably want to have Axar slash Ashwin in that order. And on flat deck, again, you still need that option of the sixth bowler. So that's where we'll have to probably see okay, what is the opponent, what are their strengths, and do you feel there it could come down to a condition like we had in the WTC where you may not feel that it will aid spin, though oval usually does support spin. But if you feel that you want control from somebody or defensive skills, then you can still pick a defensive spinner and not take Shardul. But again, it's a call that you'll have to take basis conditions and opponents in terms of what is something that they will not like to face on this particular deck at this particular venue. So I think most likely it will be the 10 guys will be the same. It's just that one spot at number 8 where you will feel okay, let's just make the change as per conditions.
Fair. In fact, to see such a settled lineup itself is a bit unnerving. Just
Yeah,
cricket, he's probably put it in a way that I would have also liked to put it. I mean, he says, "थोड़ा डर नहीं लग रहा, सब अच्छा अच्छा हो रहा है." 100% मतलब इतना अच्छा इतना
actually,
settled लगा नहीं है.
see, the thing is, it's always been planned to be like this, and that is something that we've been talking a lot. Okay, there are the resources are there; they've always been there. It's just been the clarity of thought to back that process that has often cost India in the last few years under different managements. So, which is why it's a welcome thing. Which is why we also see that order that KL came back, he's right at the spot. Shreyas comes back, he's right at the spot because the order is not changing basis a couple of games here and there. So I think that is something that has led to this stage. And India अभी भी अपने best 11 के साथ नहीं खेला. So again, I don't know. They often use this word of peaking at the right time. So let's hope India is doing that. India is peaking at the right time, and India has a lot of match winners, but it doesn't mean that you take it for granted. On that given day, you still have to do all over it again. You'll have to still do the basics well to be getting into good positions consistently.
Fair. India didn't feel their first 11, best 11 rather today, that's for sure. But what did you make of their death bowling? Prasid, Shami, both of them went for runs. 140 for 8 se leke 270 tak, a 10th wicket partnership of 77 runs. Not something you see often in limited overs cricket. I mean, as much as we've raved about Australia's batting depth, you would expect Indian bowlers to do a bit better. Like Prasid and Shami, both of them in particular, what did you make of their bowling in the last 5, 6 overs?
It's parampara, pratishtha, or anushasana. You you can never go out. I think I tweeted this out as well that it's a box that is disabled for India. Bowling well, taking wickets of the lower order very quickly after having them 6-7 down early. And see, you can understand that the batters there are going to play with a lot more freedom because there is literally nothing to lose for them. So the pressure is on the bowling side to take care of it, which is where I hope India is able to find better usage of Kuldeep, Siraj, and Bumrah, because those three are the ones that I'm banking on to take care of such situations. As opposed to, yeah, today, though I do feel Ashwin bowled probably one of the best spells that he has in a long time, and Sean Abbott had good amount of luck to be able to see through that stumping chance or the edge that he had that flew down of the pacer to third man. So
True.
those things are beyond your control. But hoping Siraj, Bumrah, and Kuldeep are the guys who are able to take care of it. If not, you'll hope that people like Hardik are also there in terms of this is my plan to the lower order. So that's what it is. This is Sri Lanka as well. It was his spell that kept the runs down, which led to a false shot against Jadeja. So that's how I expect the team to come together. That you pick your roles best and then you go about it.
I mean, even if we talk about roles, like the reason I wanted to dig a bit more deeper is we already know Shami's problems. Like we've spoken about this even in the first ODI, that he continues to bowl length balls even at the death, and this is something he did today as well. But it also felt like Prasid also was suffering from the same problem. He regularly bowled those length balls, but he did slip in a couple of good Yorkers. But uske अलावा कुछ खास उसने किया नहीं. He tried the odd slow ball, but it went too far down the leg. Sean Abbott, he flicked it for a four, and उसके बाद उसने वो भी बंद कर दिया कि नहीं भाई ये भी नहीं करना. I'll just stick to my length balls. Do you think that could be a problem, being too one-dimensional? Because there's something we've spoken that at the death, the only way you can be ahead of the batter is by being unpredictable, by packaging your over with variations, with varying your lines and lengths, sticking to the same line, same length. Shami ke saath to wo hota hi hai pata, but even Prasid doing the same thing. What do you make of that? Like, is that a cause for concern? Not just the World Cup, but in general in the future. We can't be too dependent on just Siraj and Bumrah, right? Like, we will need backups. We will need to build our bench strength accordingly.
See, it's a very, I don't think it's a straightforward thing, more so because you take out a lot of teams, there are still not all of them have more than two people who can take care of the tail. Not all of them have people who will be able to bowl variations, Yorkers, different lengths, and be able to have a lot of control on them. So I don't think it's going to be as straightforward as getting a lot. You see what's happening with Arshdeep in terms of he's a very good option at the end, but then he also gets his wide Yorkers or the slower bouncer at times wrong, and then he really goes back to what's worked for him. So I think it's about their natural lengths, something that we discussed with Paji once, that India at times have bowled good length and back of length more because that is the natural length for somebody like a Shardul or Prasid or Shami or even Hardik for that matter. So that is where you see a lot of runs are scored, but that is something that where they feel that the margin of error for them is more as compared to going for the Yorker or the full toss, because that's where you feel Siraj and Bumrah have more control, but they also have their off days. So I think it's not going to be a straightforward thing. They'll have to keep a way to keep Kuldeep also for those overs, because I feel in the World Cup, if the surfaces are dry, then you can hold a couple of overs of Kuldeep for the end. So that's how I feel they'll have to use combinations better. But otherwise, see, I don't see Hardik bowling at the end ever. And even if Shami plays, I don't see him bowling more than two. So I think predominantly you'll still end up depending on two, three people only, because that's what you see everywhere. You see Australia, it's just Stark who is able to bowl Yorkers constantly. Hazelwood does has a good Yorker,
Yeah.
but you also don't see him bowling it as much. He also wants to stick back of length. You go to England, there is Sam Curran who is bowling well. Reece Topley has a decent one, but if you go back to Wokes, Wood, they'll all again
Really?
prefer their
Yeah.
back off Willie. So
True.
they'll all try the Yorker, but on the days when it doesn't come off, they are more likely to stick to their natural lengths as opposed to just going for that. I just feel in terms of more than having the type of option like only Yorker or only full toss, I feel they'll have to be better prepared of what the opponent doesn't like. Now, if the opponent is prepared for the Yorker, you'll have to find a better way to get him out. Either go around, something that we discussed in the past. I don't see Indians going round the wicket and bowling wide to righties. It is something we haven't seen very often. So that is something that I'm looking forward to see, that okay, if the Yorker is not working, are we able to find something else that shut out one area of the field and then just look to get them hit in one side? So all those things are where you can then probably make up for not having enough Yorkers or not being able to execute on that very day.
Interesting. And also, as far as Kuldeep bowling at the death is concerned, we have to look no further than Australia using Zampa and how effective he's also been
Yeah,
in the latter overs. So Kuldeep definitely is a great shout. He's been in great rhythm, great form. So yeah, it would actually be very interesting to see him bowl more at the death. If I'm not wrong, he did bowl a bit at the death as well in the West Indies series. But yeah, let's see in a full strength 11 with Bumrah, Siraj, everyone bowling at full tilt. Does Kuldeep still get the nod? That'll be something that'll still be remain.
yeah, of course.
Oh, बाप रे. That will, yeah, that'll be. एक minute सांस लेते हैं. Yeah, that'll still be something that we'll have to look at. Yeah. Pranav Anand meanwhile says, sometimes I find it very difficult to understand cricket. Little rain makes it better to bat and difficult for spinners to find grip and turn. Today that wasn't the case. That's actually an interesting point, right? Usually we associate rain with a lot more dew, a lot more moisture. Spinners in particular finding it difficult to grip the ball, getting turned. But that wasn't the case tonight, right? Conspiracy theory के लिए अच्छा है ये कि
No, no, I
बारिश में
think
कुछ था.
it is something that has happened in the past as well, because many times when you see the rain coming in, sometimes if the deck is slightly too paced, it just helps bind the deck together, and then you see the ball coming onto the bat a bit better. So then you feel that okay, batting has gotten easier. But I think there the entire key to all of this is the primary surface or the key nature of the deck. At indoor, we've seen in the past that the key nature is it slows down. So that is something that is a natural thing that is happening there. And even if you have a bit of rain, a bit of moisture, sometimes the moisture also helps you spin the ball a bit more while the time the moisture is there. And sometimes when it dries up, you may not get a lot of turn, but it'll eventually depend on the kind of surface and the clay that is used, because that's the first nature of the deck. So I think, of course, I don't think it's as clear or crystal black and white के ये हुआ तो ऐसा होगा, ये हुआ तो ऐसा आएगा. And it is why we keep harping about the fact that you'll have to read conditions better. I said, just as I said sometime back in this preview, के World Cup में teams will have to be very, very careful of their reading of the conditions. And again, this is why you need more than 5 bowling options. Because supposing the pitch changes nature like it did today, and you don't have the six bowling option, you're going to scratch your head and feel stupid that why would I not have that option on that very given day? Something that we've discussed in the past with IPL for MS, that he plays with 6 options, 3 pacers, 3 spinners, and then if you see spin coming on, you would see Raina bowl, you would see Badrinath. He'll get on anybody who can
Yeah,
roll the ram over. So that is what you want to see, that at the end of the day सरफेस ये है, इस पे क्या-क्या पॉसिबल है, बट बेसिक नेचर क्या है, उसके बाद ही यू विल बी एबल टू टेक अ कॉल कि भाई हाँ, बट आई स्टिल थिंक none of us expected the ball to turn square. I expected it to slow down, but you still saw when pace came on how easy it was for
yeah,
Sean about to hit the run. So the margin of error is very, and speed. Sorry to just bring it back,
yeah. You had
but
actually mentioned, yeah.
Ashwin actually bowled at slightly lower pace as compared to Jadeja, and you see him got a lot more purchase out of it. So
True.
a lot of factors are there for us to debate on.
100%, lot of nuances involved. No one said cricket is simple. Definitely
Yeah.
not. And Chaitanya Patil, let's just take this one question before we wrap it up. He says, which team will be a big threat for India in the World Cup, especially the knockout games, and how should India tackle it? अगर आपको एक team सोचना था, तो who would that be?
See, I'm going for a cliche here, but I think India just has to take care of themselves. They have the potential, they have the people who can resurrect any situation. But very often in the knockouts, to me, the India's problem has been backing the conviction that they've had in the bilaterals or before the World Cup. So if you're going to back the same process that's worked for you in the past on that very given day, be expressive, do whatever you've talked about in the last 2 years, you should still be able to put up a good fight. And see, in knockouts, there are uncontrollable factors that will decide the game. You're not going to be able to control what the opponent is doing. But if you prepared for those situations, you've had a lot of left arm seamers going through your top order. You've had enough games where you have seen a very good KL Rahul come through to you under different roles, do well. Shreyas Iyer has come good. Hardik Pandya has come good. Jadeja. Now on the big day, all I want India to do is just back this. Back the process to come good. Don't suddenly send. I know Rohit's already said कि हम वो पागलपंती नहीं करते, and that's all that I'm hoping for. No, no random experiments on the big day or thinking defensively that let's hold back this player. No, let's try this, let's try that. As long as there is conviction, there is logic to it, they'll be fine. Because in this World Cup, we've seen even today, it is not going to take a lot to change the course of the game. So a couple of wickets, a very good 50-60, a knock like Surya Kumar Yadav, teams are close, many teams are rounded up, but who read conditions best on their very given day and how they adapt to it and what the resources they have for it, that is what will stop teams and not one or two particular people.
Fair enough. Just like always, no clear answer in cricket. It's as
Uh,
complicated. That's the beauty of it. That's why we love it, because there's no straightforward answer to anything. There'll always be nuances involved. There'll always be various intricacies involved. But yeah, anyway, it's been great talking to Nikhil Bhai here. Just two plugins, guys. One of it tomorrow, 11:30 a.m. Please join us, cricket.com/TV. Check us out for our watch along for the Asian Game Finals. Indian women take on the Sri Lankan women in Hangzhou, China. And Sham ko, I mean, raat ko 8 baje, Nikhil Bhai, me, and Avnish finally will be back from what has been a pretty elongated birthday celebration. Bhai sahab, birthday ko hi
we'll
celebrate kare ja raha hai.
uh,
We'll
we'll
talk
talk
about
about
a
it
lot.
tomorrow.
Exactly. So do join us even then at
Yes,
8 p.m.
please.
sharp. We'll have a Monday night live. We'll have a lot of fun. We'll have a lot of banter. 11:30 in the morning, a watch along will happen. And until then, it's a goodbye. See you guys soon. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Cheers. Bye bye.